Thank you for attending Multifamily Monday here. We've got a little bit of a condensed itinerary today here at Keller Williams multifamily team. We're definitely focused on helping out our investment clients with buying, selling, and maximizing profitability everywhere in between. For that reason, today we're going to be featuring a webinar that Chicago Association of Realtors put on involving property tax appeals. We know we're in the midst of the recent assessment. Jerry, we know you've done a lot of close work related to that, to say the least. So kind of just going to feature this webinar regarding, a workshop for property tax appeals. A lot of, owners in and around the city of Chicago and elsewhere will be gearing up to launch these appeals in short order. So we're just going to feature this webinar. It's actually about 1 hour and 15 minutes, just going to let it run through. And hopefully that'll be some valuable content for you guys here today. I'm going to get it started here in just a moment. Go.
Or just a gathering where people could.
So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Ware, and I'm the current Treasurer-elect for the Chicago Association of Realtors. And on behalf of Michelle Mills Clement, who is the CEO of CAR, and our current president, Maurice Hampton, today we present the Property Tax Appeal Seminar. This is just not a useful skill in today's market, but it's also a vital skill. So I'm not sure if you have heard of this presentation before, but I do remember attending when Dana presented before, and it was a packed house. So hopefully we have some new attendees and maybe some old ones to come back. So we want to welcome both our members and community members. And so I'm told that the diversity committee that's affectionately called the 77 invited community members to join us. And so we hope to provide you all a service today. The Chicago Association of Realtors will continue to be a leader and the voice of real estate, whether it be programming such as this, our advocacy and lobbying led by Chris Anderson and Adrian Morawski, or being present in communities to clean. We continue the message. We not only want to sell your home, we are here to help keep you in your home. I trust today's program is proof of that. I'll now turn it over to our Director of Government Affairs and External Affairs, Christopher J. Anderson, to introduce today's speaker. Thank you. Can't hear you, Chris.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today, even if it's via Zoom and not in person. And as Sarah said, I am Christopher J. Anderson, the CAR Director of both Government and External Affairs, and it's a pleasure to be with you all today. Just want to go over some housekeeping before we turn over the program to our expert. If you look below on your screen, you should have a Q&A and a chat box. Chat is not where you want to put your Q&A. Chat is where you want to ask a question of your friend or your colleague or tell somebody hello. But if you have a question for Dana in webinar mode, you will not be able to ask your question live. You will need to type your question. I will moderate the questions at the end of her presentation, and hopefully we can get through all of your questions and have follow-up for you if needed. In addition to today's webinar, I also want to let you know about a great opportunity we're going to present on September 15th. On September 15th, we're going to have a presentation on the Invest by Southwest program. You could go to the CAR website and easily sign up for that as you did today's effort. So we're going to talk about Invest Southwest, and we want to make sure that all our realtors know about the different government initiatives that are going on, so you're well positioned to have a thriving business in the year 2020 and beyond. So with that, without further ado, let me introduce a good friend of mine, somebody I used to work with at the Cook County Board of Review, Ms. Dana Pointer. As Sarah said, she presented last year, and it was a power-packed hour and a half, and we're looking to bring her back She's a 10-year plus veteran of the Cook County Board of Review. And most recently, she's a college graduate at Chicago State University. So as you clap for her in your homes, clap a little harder for the new college graduate. Most people know that the assessor's office is where you go to actually get the valuation for your home, and you can actually appeal your taxes there. But some years ago, a study was done that said that 75% of the people that appeal at the assessor's office actually get no favorable treatment. But the next level of appeal is the Cook County Board of Review, where Dana works, and over 66% of the people that go to the Cook County Board of Review actually get favorable treatment and get a reduction of some sort. So while you can't appeal at the assessor's office, do not forget about the Board of Review. That's a necessary step in this process. But again, this is for you to be a community leader. This is for you to train your clients. This is for you to help people stay in their homes, or possibly, quite possibly, help seal a deal, because a deal that has a tax exemption on it and a senior freeze may not work for somebody, but if you tell them how to appeal their property taxes, the deal may work. So without further ado, let me turn over to Dana, who's going to present for these next 40 minutes or so, and then we'll take your Q&A at the end. Dana, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chris. I guess I don't have much to say after that introduction. He said a lot of things already, being that we work together. But again, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you all. I first want to start by letting you know that I'm here on behalf of Commissioner Larry Rogers Jr. of the Cook County Board of Review. And again, we try to educate as many taxpayers and professionals as possible on the tax appeal process and some things that, as Chris said, can help to close deals. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, first things first, education is the key. What is the main reason that most people appeal to us at the Board of Review? One of the main reasons is if the assessment on the property is too high, okay? The assessor's office is the department that sets the values on the properties all across Cook County. So in some cases, a person who may be purchasing a house for just say $150,000, the assessor's office may be assessing it at $250,000. So that is a discrepancy, and that is something that we would want to correct. And that is something that we can fix at the Board of Review level. The second reason, again, would be recent purchase. When you recently purchased within the past 3 years, you want to get that value set as what the assessor has your assessed value at. If you've recently had an appraisal completed, if you recently financed, or you know someone or a client who was recently financed, those are other reasons to appeal, because those appraisals and evidence can be used to support your appeal. If a property is vacant, if the taxpayer has experienced a fire, flood, or any type of damage like that, those are reasons to appeal. They will want to submit pictures of the damage. If it's been a fire, we will want to have a fire report, any type of insurance claims that may have been had by the taxpayer. Those are all reasons. And of course, if the property is recently demolished, that is a reason to appeal. All right, next, at the Board of Review, there are things that we can do to assist you. We can assist the taxpayer with filing the proper paperwork to file an appeal. If you are the realtor and the taxpayer is concerned, you can direct them to our website, which is cookcountyboardofreview.com, or to the assessor's website, which are the two central agencies that you want to direct them to in order to assist in having reductions and making sure they keep their assessment in line. All right. Every 3 years, properties are reassessed. So every 3 years, most likely the values of those properties are continuously going up. And you also have tax rates and state equalizers that go into those calculations. So you want to be sure that the taxpayer kind of knows some of these things. All right. We can also help the taxpayer fill out the proper paperwork or direct them to our website, which is where we're directing everyone to go now during the pandemic, because currently in-person appointments at our office at the Board of Review, we're currently not having anything in person. All right. Now, where do I start? most people know that most of their taxes go to the schools. So that part is true, but there are other agencies that need to be run by your tax dollars. So these are the water reclamation district, the schools, the fire department, the police department. All of these things are funded by the budget. Once the assessor's office comes up with the value, the Cook County clerk sets the tax rate, which pretty much, again, fluctuate based on the needs and based on the revenue. All right. And then from that point, your tax bill is given. Now, the first stop again is the assessor's office. As Christopher said, the assessor's office approval rate is not as high as ours at the Board of Review, but they are the first step in the process. And I do encourage everyone to appeal with both the assessor's office and with the Board of Review. Realtors, please encourage your clients to do so. Also, exemptions, which is a big saver for the taxpayers, are handled through the assessor's office. And you want to make sure your clients are aware that they need to get these exemptions and make sure that they're on their tax bills every year. Also, if there is an error that has occurred, say there is a discrepancy in the square footage of your property, or there's an error that the assessor's office has made, they can go back up to 3 years to correct any errors. And the paperwork used to file that will be called a certificate of error. All right. The certificate of error, again, is done in the assessor's office. And any overpayment that your client or the taxpayer has made, they can get those money back. It takes about maybe 60 to 90 days to get that check, but the assessor's office would cut a check and send a corrected tax bill. All right. All of those things, again, can be handled at the assessor. You can see the address and phone number below. Their website, again, if you can't see it, is www.cookcountyassessor.com. You can go there and download any of your exemption forms, print them out. You can also file an appeal online through their website. This is something new that they have started this year. So again, you can file an appeal online now at the assessor's level. So again, check out their website. Now, to calculate your tax bill, I want to make everyone aware of the number that we at the Board of Review can make changes to within this calculation. This proposed assessed valuation number here, this is the only number within the tax bill calculation that the Board of Review can do anything to. All right. So in this example, the property value is about $250,000. The level of assessment for residential properties in Cook County is 10%. The level of assessment for commercial properties is 25%. So the burden for the commercial owners is higher than the residential. 10% of $250,000 is $25,000, and that is the actual proposed assessed evaluation. Again, that number we can make changes to. As you go through this formula, the state equalizer, it changes annually. Your exemptions can fluctuate based on age, if you have a disability or other things. So in the section where you see homeowner's exemption, you can have multiple exemptions here. The homeowner's exemption is a deduction of $10,000 in assessed value. And so if you have a senior, there would be additional deductions in this section here. All right. And then the last portion of the calculation is the sample tax rate. And again, those tax rates fluctuate depending on where the property is in Cook County. And I do want to go over those tax rates because in some cases, those can make or break a deal. All right. Right now, the highest tax rate in Cook County are in Park Forest. Their tax rate is about 35.7%, which is extreme compared to the city of Chicago, which the average rate is about 6.8%. And the reason that there is such a difference is because in Park Forest, there are not as many commercial and industrial properties that take up the bulk of the tax burden. When you come into Chicago, you have all type of businesses, high rises, and everything in the Chicagoland area, in Chicago particularly. So the tax rate is lower. So for instance, if you're selling a home in the city for $100,000, you may have a tax bill for your client at about, just say, $4,000 a year. But when you go out to Park Forest for the same home that may be worth $100,000, that taxpayer may be paying $14,000 for their property. So in that case, that may make the property unaffordable for the owner. And these are things that I feel that need to be specified when closing a deal, because especially first-time home buyers, people who are not familiar with the process, will see this home at a great value, you know, $100,000, and thinking, wow, this is something that I could really afford. But when those taxes are added into your monthly, you know, mortgage, it can go from a mortgage of $700 to $1,700 a month, you know, depending on where you're living. So these tax rates are very, very important. And again, I stress this to the realtors as well as our homeowners and taxpayers that we have on here as well. You want to look at those tax rates. If you want to see this annual report, you can look at this every year on the Cook County Clerk's website. The report is probably maybe 170 something pages, but if you go through there and look for your particular township or town or city, you will find it in the list. They're all in alphabetical order, and they will let you know the tax rate for the prior year and the current year. All right. Again, go to the Cook County Clerk's website. Now, the city of Chicago, these are the tax rates over the past 3 years, and it just lets you know how much they fluctuate. As you can see here, in 2017, the tax rate was 7.26%, and then in 2018, it went down. So that was a pretty decent jump. And now again, back in 2019, this past tax year, it went up about, you know, a little under 1%. So these are things that you want to think about when dealing in properties and, like I say, talking with clients. Now, tax bills. The tax bills are important because these are things your clients and our taxpayers on here today can look at to make sure you are getting everything that you're due. The first thing you want to pay attention to on the tax bill is the top portion. The top portion of your tax bill is where all of the detailing information on your property will be. Your PIN number will be located here, the classification of your property, your township, all of that information will be notated in this section. I want to make sure you pay attention to this. This tax bill that we're currently looking at is a second installment tax bill. Some of this detailing information will only be found on the second installment. The first installment is only a 55% estimate of what you paid on the prior year. So none of your exemptions or anything will be on your first installment. So that's why I'm showing you this second installment. The next thing you want to pay attention to is the tax calculator here at the bottom in this blue section. The tax calculator will have your assessed value of your property. It will have that tax rate we just spoke about, and also the exemptions will be in this section. If you see a dollar amount next to an exemption that you should be taking advantage of, that means what? That you're not receiving that exemption. So that means you need to contact the assessor's office to make sure that you are getting that exemption. All right. And then the next section you want to pay attention to is the important messages box. In this section, you will find out if you are owed a refund or if you owe taxes. If there was a tax bill that you hadn't paid, it will be notated here with penalties included. So again, you want to check those sections. And then the final part of the tax bill to pay attention to is all of where your tax dollars are going. So in this section here, you'll see what portion is going to the schools, the police department, fire, all of those things will be notated in that section. Now, exemptions. I want everyone to pay close attention to this because these are the money makers for the taxpayers. And these are the things that can kind of skew what is going to be paid. So say, for instance, you, the realtor, are selling a property and the current owner is a senior citizen. They're 95 years old and they've been on their senior freeze for 25 years now. Each year with your senior freeze, the exemption value is going to increase. As long as the taxpayer is on the freeze and their income does not exceed $65,000, their savings will continue to grow over years. So this 90-year-old person that is the seller may not have the same qualifications as the new buyer. The new buyer may be a first-time homeowner. They may be 35 years old. They're not disabled. They're not a veteran. So the only exemption that they would be able to take advantage of would be a homeowner's exemption. This 35-year-old will be able to keep the 95-year-old seller's exemptions for 1 year after purchase. So the first year after purchase, they're like, wow, you know, these taxes were pretty low. You know, the realtor told me that, you know, Ms. Jones has only been paying $1,200 a year. I mean, this is the greatest savings of my life. And then 1 year after, when all exemptions fall off and they have to apply, that tax bill is going to go up drastically. And if they're living in one of those townships where they have the tax rates in the 30s and the 20 percentile, they're going to be in for a rude awakening. So that $2,500 tax bill can go up to $10,000. And then at this point, that is going to, they're going to get a letter from their mortgage company saying that there's a deficit in escrow. And then what's going to happen? They're going to increase their monthly payment. Okay. And, you know, it can get to the point where now, hey, they can't afford it. And we don't want people going into foreclosure and losing their homes. So again, these exemptions are key. And I feel that the buyer should know about these things before they get ready to purchase. Now, let's go through these exemptions. As I said, the first-time home buyer and all homeowners, as long as it is your primary residence, you can apply for a homeowner's exemption. All right. Also, do not get any exemptions on your income property. So realtors, if you're selling to a commercial property or industrial property, those people cannot get exemptions. So please be sure to let them know, hey, these exemptions are only for primary residents, because if it is found that they are getting exemptions on these commercial properties, they will get a letter in the mail from the assessor letting them know the lump sum that they're owed. And if they don't pay it, a lien can be put on the property. So we want to avoid that at all costs and make sure that you're only getting these listed exemptions on your primary residence, okay? The second exemption that I want to talk about is the senior exemption. The senior citizen exemption is for my seniors who are 65 years of age. The only qualification for this is age, all right? Then we have our senior freeze. The senior freeze exemption is based on age and income. Excuse me. So you have to be 65 years of age and your total income has to be less than $65,000 a year, all right? This exemption, the taxpayer must fill out every year, all right? So any exemption through the assessor's office that is based on income, you must fill it out every single year, all right? The next exemption is for our veterans. We have an exemption for our returning veterans. If you have returned from active combat within the past year, you can apply for this exemption. If you are a disabled veteran and you have been deemed at least 30% disabled by Veteran Affairs, you can apply for this exemption. If you are a disabled veteran and deemed over 70% disabled, you would pay no tax, all right? So please get this information to our disabled veterans. A lot of our veterans do not even know that they can take advantage of this. So please do that. And then we have an exemption for our disabled persons. If you have a handicap placard or you're currently disabled and receiving funds from the government, you can fill out for this disabled persons exemption. You would need to take the application to your primary care physician or to your specialist to say what your ailment is. And then once that is complete, you turn that into the assessor's office, and then they can make adjustments to your tax bill. A taxpayer can have up to 4 exemptions on their property at one time. So please take advantage of the ones that you can. And again, if you look on your second installment tax bill and you do not see your exemptions or you see zeros, contact the assessor's office. Again, their number is here, 312-443-7550, and their website is www.cookcountyassessor.com. Now, we're going to go to the evidence that is needed for appeals at the level that I work at, which is at the Board of Review. We are your second line of defense. We have no stake in keeping the numbers that the assessor has placed on those properties. So again, realtors, encourage your clients to file with us at the Board of Review. And to all my taxpayers out there, I encourage you to file an appeal with us every single year. You may file with the assessor and get denied, but you may be approved by us. And in some cases, I have seen where taxpayers have gotten a reduction from the assessor and gotten further reduction from us. So again, file every year. Now, when we talk about comparable properties are properties that are similar to yours. So we want to find a property that is similar in square footage, similar in classification, age, and location. So if the subject property is 100 years old, we don't want to compare that to a new construction property. If the property is 10,000 square feet, we don't want to compare that to a 1,500 square foot home. We want to find something as similar to the primary residence as possible. Also, as far as location, we try to look within a 1 mile radius of the property, just so we can see what's going on specifically in that area. Because, excuse me, you know, when you go outside into different areas, it can make a difference in sales data and what someone is willing to pay for a property. Also, too, we look, again, like I say, at sales data. As realtors, you all do this on a daily basis. You look for sales that are in the price range of the client. And with us, we're looking at sales data, all the sales data that has occurred in the area. We're looking at foreclosure sales, we're looking at short sales, and we're looking at arm's length transactions. So at the Board of Review, we do consider those, whereas the assessor's office does not weigh heavily on all transactions. All right. All right. So for commercial properties, if the commercial property is an LLC or any type of entity, you need to file with an attorney. So please instruct your clients to contact an attorney if their property is in a business name. If it is in the client's name, they can file an appeal for their property. If it's owner occupied, we want to see a recent appraisal that has occurred within the past 3 years. If the property is leased or rented, we want to see your rent rolls. We want to see the lease agreement. We want to see 3 years of your IRS schedulees. And if the property is vacant, we're going to want to see pictures or attempts to lease the property and to try to get someone in there to get rid of that vacancy issue that you may be dealing with. All right. So those are the basics for commercial property. Now, we're going to talk about condominium properties. Condominiums, when we look at condos, we're only looking at sales data that has occurred within the subject building. So we're not looking at the condo building next door or anything like that, because especially with condo properties, just say in downtown Chicago, location, location, location. And it depends on where in the building your unit may be, what type of view you have. All of those things are incorporated into the price of the units and the percentages of ownership that are given to each of those. So again, we're looking at sales data that has occurred within the past 3 years. All right. All right. So at the Board of Review, we have closed 3 townships, and those are here, which are Riverside, River Forest, and Oak Park. So these townships, we are no longer accepting appeals for. All right. So if you all have clients that have recently purchased, or you're working with people in these particular townships, You can let them know that, hey, you know, these townships are closed, but you will have another opportunity, you know, next year to file at our level. All right. Now, there are a few things that you need to know about the Board of Review just to keep in mind. I tell everyone to always remember the month of July. July is when we open up every single township in Cook County. All right. So I tell people, if you file in July, you don't ever have to worry about missing a deadline or anything. Okay. Once that 30-day period is over, we're done. Just as I spoke about those last 3 townships, you can't appeal anymore. Once we begin to work on your appeals, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks before you get a decision back to whether you received a reduction or whether you were denied. And the great thing about the Board of Review is that we do not raise your assessment. If we look at the property and we see that, hey, this property is assessed a little low, we will leave it alone. You never have to worry about being penalized by filing at the board. So again, realtors, make sure that you stress that to your clients. Hey, go ahead and file with the Board of Review. Regardless of anything, either you'll get a reduction or they'll just tell you no. All right. And again, as we spoke earlier, when I was showing you guys the second installment tax bill, whatever adjustment that the Board of Review grants will be reflected on your second installment tax bill. All right. So always keep that in mind. Now, this is the actual complaint form that you would fill out if you were using a paper form for your appeal with us at the Board of Review. You can download this form on our website, which is www.cookcountyboardofreview.com. I just want to point out a few things on this form that you need to pay attention to when filling it out. All right. First things first, name of appellant. The taxpayer is the appellant. This is where your name and mailing information will go. I encourage you to always submit a phone number as well, just in case we need to contact you. The second part is the location and identification of real estate. So in this section, this is where you would put the address of your property. If you are appealing your mailing address at the top, you would check this little box that says same as above, okay? If your property is a single family home, you're gonna check the box here. If your property is a 2-flat or a 3-flat, you're gonna check 6 apartments or less, all right? The next section says status of appellant. Most of you guys are gonna be the owner, all right? Taxpayers are gonna be the owner of the property. If it is the case where someone is the beneficiary or the executor of the account, you're gonna check whichever box applies to you, all right? Now, the next section that is most important is your signature section, all right? Without a signature, we cannot move forward with the appeal. So I encourage you to make sure your clients and my taxpayers that are on here, make sure you sign the form, all right? Now, this is the Board of Review website, and I wanna go through this because we are encouraging everyone to use the board website to file their appeals. Since the pandemic and we're working remotely, this is the easiest way to get it done. Again, here's our website at the top, www.cookcountyboardofreview.com. Once you go to our website, you want to click here where it says file and appeal, or you can go to the top at the yellow little box and it says submit appeal here. Once you do that, you will be prompted and brought to this screen, all right? Once you are brought here, you are going to log in and register. You want to register for an account while you, before you start your appeal. Some people have used the online filing system before, and if you have done so, you would go right here and put in your username and password. If you have forgotten your username and password, as many of us do sometimes, I will put up the phone number at the end of the presentation where you can call and we can reset your password and username. The one thing I want to make sure that you do not do is submit your appeal as a guest, okay? If you submit your appeal as a guest, you will not be able to go back and upload data later. You will not be able to go back and see what the status is of your appeal. Nothing you will be able to go back in. It's like a one-stop shop, just dropping off the appeal and you're done. I don't recommend that. Like I say, take the couple extra seconds to do the login and register. All right? All right, now there are some people who do not have computer access and they're using their phones for, for the internet. We have a mobile-friendly version of our online system. What you need to do is text the phone number 474747, and you're going to text the word file, F-I-L-E. Once you do that, you will get a link right back to your phone that you can file your tax appeal right there. And again, this is a mobile-friendly version for the taxpayers. And again, you can mention this to your clients. And then also for the realtors and the taxpayers, if you want to stay up to date when townships are opening and closing, or when we're having events like this, so that your clients can attend, you can also encourage them to text the same phone number, 474747, and you're going to text the word Easy Join, EZJOIN. And again, you'll get updates about other events. Now, this is our contact information. If you want to give us a call, you can call us at 312-603-5540. If you have any detailed questions about a client, or if you know a client who has information or questions for us, you can have them to email us at BORdistrict3, the number 3, at info.cookcountyil.gov. All right. And as I mentioned earlier, if you need to reset your password for our website, you can go to 312-603-5542, and all you need is your email address that you use to set up your account, and they can go ahead and set that up, and so that you can get access back into your account. So again, that is the gist of things with us at the Board of Review, and how we can help the clients and you, the taxpayers who are on this call. It's very important to share this information with as many people as possible, because many clients don't even know that they have the opportunity to contest the value that was placed on their properties. And also many people don't know that they don't have to wait until their property is reassessed. The property is reassessed by the county every 3 years, and they don't have to wait until then, because there are chances that your tax bill may go up because of those tax rates, the state equalizer, and other things that may come into account. So again, I want to thank everyone for their time and patience, and I hope that I was able to help as many people as possible. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Chris for the Q&A session. Again, thank you all so much.
No, thank you, Dana. We really appreciate having you out today. We have a couple of questions, more than a couple actually, in the Q&A box. Let's start with the easy one from one of our board members. If the client has not taken advantage of the exemptions, how far back can they go back to file correctly? So I think you answered that, but let's start with the easy one.
Yes, that's no problem. So basically, you can go back up to 3 years, okay? So again, you would have to do that at the assessor's level. And while you guys are working together, that's paperwork that could be put into play. And once those exemptions are on there, at least the new client, the buyer, will be able to take advantage of those exemptions for at least 1 year after purchase. And then the seller will get money back for their overpayment, getting a check within 60 to 90 days. So that's a plus on both ends.
Perfect. Now, this is one I think the answer is going to be depends, but maybe you could talk about what you've seen. If we, I guess meaning the realtor, or our clients hire an attorney, will they file at both locations? And what I guess they mean by both locations is probably the assessor's office and the Board of Review. I would think it depends on the attorney agreement you have with the attorney, but what have you seen?
I agree, yes. But in most cases, the attorney will file at both agencies. That's usually how it goes. And then those attorneys are going to get at the minimum 33 1/3% of whatever savings that they were able to get. And like I say, the taxpayer can do this themselves without having to pay these attorneys for that. And I've seen some attorneys charge 50%, up to 50% of the savings. So again, in most cases, yes, the attorney will file at both agencies.
So unfortunately, as most things in life, the only people that win are the attorneys. So if you do it yourself, you could save yourself some money, or you could teach others how to do it and save them some money. Now, here's one I think is a little bit difficult. So feel free to pass if you don't know the answer. But is basement square footage included in the assessment?
No, the basement is not included because it's below grade. Now, if you decide to put a dormer on your house, that is additional square footage that would be added. Or if you added an addition onto the back and you've gotten permits and things, those are the time, that's when square footage would be added, but the basement is not included.
Okay, now I got a couple of questions from a board member. All members are created equal, but board members get a little special treatment. The board member asks, do you anticipate any future extensions, or in the case of COVID, or do you expect anything different to happen this year because of COVID? Do you think the board will be open longer? Do you think that there will be any special treatment given because of COVID? Can you speak on that?
So currently, I do know that one thing that has been put into place for the taxpayers is they've given them a little extension on the time to pay the tax bill. Usually the tax bills are due August 1st, but I know that an extension was given without penalty. So that is one thing that I know that is currently in play. Now, as far as the assessor's office, last month when I looked on their website, they had a document on there where they were attempting to reassess all the townships in Cook County to try to do something with the COVID factor and how this is affecting the property owners, the people who have rental properties and things of that sort. So they were talking about a blanket 7 to 14% reduction. I have yet to hear anything more about that. Right now, it's been a lot of slow movement as far as the Board of Review getting townships so that we can begin our work in progress. So it's a lot that we don't know right now. So at this point, being that we're in September and we've only opened and closed 3 townships, there may be a possibility that we may be working a little later than normal. Normally, we close the majority of our townships and take in our last appeals in January. That has been the end all for us. So at this point, I can't tell you because we're kind of still in limbo and still trying to work through some things at this point. But what I do know is that Commissioner Rogers and the commissioners at the Board of Review are fighting to see what we can do for the taxpayers of Cook County, because this has been affecting everyone.
Exactly. Dana, is it easy for you to share your screen again and go back to the one screen on opting in by text? Okay.
Yes, I can do that.
If you could put that up for people, just because I think a lot of people want to opt in and maybe have missed it. A few people may have.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you tuning in to Multifamily Monday here today. We are going to pause the video at this point in time. There are about 30 to 35 minutes remaining in the video that we are going to save for next week's edition of Multifamily Monday. Again, I do thank everyone for tuning in. And if it is noon on Monday, you will find the multifamily team here for Multifamily Monday. You guys take care and be well.